The day they threw me out with a cold, impersonal email, I swore I'd transform that humiliation into power. 6 months later, when my company's name blazed across Forbes's front page, those who'd laughed were trembling with fear. But to reach that moment, my team and I had to crawl through exhausting nights, bitter betrayals, and execute a revenge plan so ruthlessly calculated it would haunt them forever. This isn't just a success story, it's about making them pay in the only currency that matters, watching us rise from their ashes. My name is Samantha Rourke, Sam to anyone who's worked with me. And at 34, I thought I'd built something unshakable at Brightcore Systems. 7 years. That's how long I'd poured my soul into those gleaming Denver towers, transforming a chaotic product division into a precision machine that hummed with talent and innovation. My team of 12 wasn't just a department, we were architects of the company's future, the ones executives paraded in front of investors as proof of Brightcore's dynamic culture. I still remember that Tuesday morning with painful clarity. The October air bit through my blazer as I swiped my keycard at 7:15 a.m., coffee in one hand, laptop bag cutting into my shoulder. The office buzzed with its usual energy, developers already deep in code, designers sketching on whiteboards, the smell of burnt coffee mixing with someone's breakfast burrito. Jordan Hale, my lead engineer, threw me his typical two-finger salute without looking up from his triple-monitor setup. Maya Torres was pacing near the windows, practicing a client pitch under her breath. Ethan Cole had photos of his daughter's soccer game spread across his desk, showing them to anyone who'd pause long enough. We had a product launch in 3 weeks. Everything was on track. Everything was perfect. The email arrived at 9:47 a.m. Please report to conference room C immediately. Mandatory meeting. No sender name, just HR's generic address. My stomach tightened. That specific, visceral dread every corporate soldier knows. I watched the same email land on my team's screens, watched their faces shift from confusion to concern. Jordan actually looked up from his code. Maya stopped mid-sentence. The room went silent except for the white noise of computers humming. Conference room C was already packed with suits I didn't recognize. New management, 3 weeks on the job. Their faces arranged in what they probably thought looked sympathetic. The lead suit, Gregory something, brought in from a competitor to optimize operations, didn't even stand up. We appreciate everything you've contributed to Brightcore, he started, reading from an iPad like he was ordering lunch. However, as part of our restructuring initiative to streamline costs and enhance shareholder value, we're eliminating your entire division effective immediately. Streamline costs. Enhance shareholder value. Corporate poetry for "you're expensive and we found cheaper." I felt Maya's sharp intake of breath beside me. Saw Ethan's hands clench under the table. Mortgage, medical bills, private school tuition all flashing through his mind. Jordan's face went red, then white, his jaw working like he was chewing glass. You have 2 hours to collect your belongings, Gregory continued, swiping to the next slide of his termination script. Security will escort you. Your keycards have been deactivated. Severance packages are outlined in these folders. He slid manila envelopes across the table like a dealer spreading cards. 2 weeks' pay for every year of service. They were buying 7 years of my life for 14 weeks of salary. This is a mistake, I heard myself say, voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. We're 3 weeks from launching a product that could... The decision is final. Gregory finally looked up, his eyes as empty as his LinkedIn profile. Another team will handle the launch. Another team? Some offshore contractors, probably. Or the nephew of a board member who took a coding boot camp. The walk back to our area felt like a funeral procession. Security guards, kids, really, barely out of college, shadowed us as we packed 7 years into cardboard boxes. I watched Ethan carefully wrap his daughter's drawings. Maya dumped her awards into trash before I stopped her. Jordan yanked cables from his personal equipment with enough force to crack plastic. Other departments watched from their desks, that mixture of pity and relief in their eyes. Thank God it wasn't us. Someone from accounting mouthed, "I'm sorry," at me. I wanted to scream at her that sorry doesn't pay rent, doesn't explain to Ethan's daughter why daddy looks scared, doesn't rebuild what we'd created. As security marched us through the lobby, past the mission statement etched in marble, "Building tomorrow's solutions today," I caught our reflection in the polished walls. 12 talented people reduced to a line item someone deleted to make a quarterly report look better. The October sun felt obscene on my face as we stood on the sidewalk, boxes in hand, keycards that had worked 20 minutes ago now dead plastic in our pockets. Brightcore's logo gleamed above us. 30 floors of glass and steel that had just spit us out like gristle. That's when the fury crystallized into something harder, sharper. This wasn't just termination, it was erasure. They'd taken our work, our pride, our security, and handed us boxes and escorts like we were criminals. I looked at my team, my friends, scattered on that sidewalk like debris, and made a decision that would either destroy us or forge us into something they'd never see coming. They wanted to erase us? Fine. We'd become something they couldn't ignore. The first week after Brightcore was hell wrapped in silence. My team scattered like shrapnel across Denver, each retreating to their own private disaster. I spent 3 days in my Capitol Hill apartment, laptop closed, phone on silent, watching the city move outside my window while my savings account balance burned in my mind like a countdown timer. $47,000. Enough for maybe 6 months if I cut everything to bone. Maya texted on day 4. "Coffee? I need to see a friendly face before I lose it." We met at Corvus, a hole-in-the-wall place that served coffee strong enough to wake the dead. She looked exhausted, designer bags under her eyes, her usually perfect presentation crumbling at the edges. "3 interviews already," she said, gripping her mug like a lifeline. "They all ask why the entire team was let go. Like we're contaminated," one recruiter actually said. "There must have been performance issues." "Same," I admitted. "They smell blood in the water." Offering 60% of my previous salary because they know I'm desperate. Jordan joined us an hour later, unshaven, wearing the same Metallica shirt I'd seen him in 3 days ago. "My wife's pregnant," he said without preamble. "Found out yesterday. Perfect timing, right?" Ethan appeared last, looking like he'd aged 5 years in 5 days. "Lily's school called. Tuition's due next week. I had to tell them we might need to withdraw her." We sat in that coffee shop, 4 of 34 to 42-year-olds who'd done everything right, worked hard, built expertise, delivered results, reduced to calculating how many weeks until bankruptcy. The other 8 from our team were going through the same arithmetic of desperation across the city. "This is bullshit," Jordan finally exploded, loud enough that other patrons looked over. "We built half their profitable products. We know their systems, their clients, their weaknesses." "Their weaknesses," I repeated, something clicking in my brain like a lock finding its combination. Maya saw it first, that shift in my expression. "Sam, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about David Martinez," I said slowly. "Remember him? Brightcore's biggest client, worth $12 million annually. He called me directly last month, frustrated with their support response times." "So?" Jordan challenged. "So Brightcore just fired the entire team that kept him happy. They're vulnerable, and we know every crack in their armor." I pulled out my laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard, pulling up market analyses I'd memorized, competitor data I'd studied. What if we don't look for jobs? What if we become the job? Ethan laughed, bitter and sharp. "Start a company? With what money? My daughter's college fund?" "With our knowledge, our relationships, our rage," I said, feeling the idea solidify. "Look, Brightcore's main product, the one generating 40% of their revenue, hasn't been properly updated in 2 years. We could build a better version in 3 months." "You're insane," Maya said, but she was leaning forward. "Even if we could build it, we'd need capital, office space, legal structure." "I have $37,000 in my 401k. Jordan interrupted. "Early withdrawal penalty would leave me with maybe 25. "That's your retirement." Ethan started. "Fuck retirement. I want revenge. Jordan's eyes were blazing. They threw us out like trash. I want to see Gregory's face when we take their clients. The coffee shop faded around us as we started sketching on napkins, product architecture, go-to-market strategy, financial projections that were more hope than math. Other customers came and went, but we stayed, fueled by caffeine and fury, building something from nothing but spite and expertise. Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through contacts. I still have personal cells for 43 enterprise clients, relationships they can't erase with a termination email. The product would need to be 50% faster, 30% cheaper, I calculated. Possible if we strip out their legacy bloat, use modern architecture. We'd need the whole team, Ethan said quietly. Can't do this with just 4 people. I looked at him, saw the war between fear and hope in his eyes. Then we get them all, every single person they threw away. We spent the next 3 days in my apartment, reaching out to our scattered team. The conversations were brutal. People crying, people angry, people terrified. But underneath the fear was something else. Hunger. They all had the same look we'd had in that coffee shop, like drowning people who'd just spotted a rope. Alex Reeves, our database architect, was first to commit. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but yes. Priya Patel, UX designer. I'm supposed to start at Amazon next week. Fuck it, I am in. One by one, they came back. Not all. 2 had already taken jobs. 1 was moving back to Portland. But 8 of the original 12 said yes to an insane plan sketched on coffee shop napkins. We pooled resources like refugees. $180,000 total. If everyone emptied their emergency funds, borrowed from family, liquidated everything. Enough for maybe 4 months of bare-bones operation. Jordan found our headquarters, an abandoned auto repair shop in Rhino, 2,000 square feet of concrete and questionable electrical wiring. The landlord, desperate for tenants, gave us 3 months free if we signed a year lease. Standing in that empty garage, fluorescent lights flickering, oil stains on the floor. I saw our future with painful clarity. We'd either build something extraordinary or crash so spectacularly that Brightcore would laugh about it at their Christmas party. We need a name, Maya said, her voice echoing in the empty space. Pulse Tech, I said without hesitation. Because we're not dead. We're just getting started. Jordan spray-painted it on the wall that night. Angry red letters against gray concrete. Pulse Tech, our declaration of war. You want us to bet everything on revenge? Ethan's voice cracked as we stood in that garage, our breath visible in the November cold. I've got a 7-year-old daughter. Sam, this isn't a game. Neither was throwing us out like garbage, I shot back, then softened. Look, I'm not asking for blind faith. Let me show you something. I pulled up my laptop, connected it to a projector Jordan had borrowed from his previous life. The walls lit up with code, mock-ups, financial projections. 3 weeks of sleepless nights distilled into a battle plan. Brightcore's main platform takes 4 seconds to load dashboards. Ours does it in 1.3. Their API calls timeout at 30 seconds. We're stable at 8. Their customer onboarding takes 2 weeks. We can do it in 3 days. Technical superiority doesn't pay bills, Priya challenged, her arms crossed. I had to borrow money from my parents just to make rent. You think they understand why I'm doing this instead of taking the Amazon offer? Maya stepped forward, her marketing instincts sharp as ever. Show them the client list. Sam. I switched slides. 43 names appeared, each representing millions in potential revenue. These are relationships I built. Maya cultivated, Jordan serviced. Personal relationships that Gregory can't delete with a restructuring announcement. David Martinez alone is worth $12 million annually, Maya added. He texted me yesterday asking if I knew any good alternatives to Brightcore. Their new team fucked up his integration twice this week. The room shifted. I could feel it. That moment when fear starts losing to possibility. Jordan was already at the whiteboard, sketching architecture. If we use microservices instead of their monolithic structure, Deployment time drops by 70%. Alex, you seeing this? Alex Reeves stepped forward, his usual shyness replaced with focus. We could containerize everything. Docker, Kubernetes. What Brightcore needs 6 servers for, we could do with 2. The garage needs work, Ethan said quietly. But he was looking at the space differently now, measuring it with his eyes. Electrical's shot, no heating, probably rats. So we fix it, I said, together. Like we built products together. Like we solved impossible deadlines together. I need guarantees, Ethan pressed. Health insurance for Lily. We can't afford traditional insurance yet, I admitted. But we can get catastrophic coverage, and I found a clinic that offers sliding scale. Jesus Christ, listen to us. Jordan laughed, dark and bitter. From corporate benefits to sliding scale clinics, this is insane. So was thinking Brightcore valued us, I countered. At least this insanity is ours. The vote wasn't unanimous. It never is when people are scared, but it was enough. 8 hands raised, 4 abstaining, but not opposing. Enough to start. We carved that garage into sections using salvaged cubicle walls from a bankrupted startup. Jordan and Alex took the back corner, running cables like veins across the ceiling. Maya claimed a spot near the only window, setting up a conference room with a door that didn't quite close. Ethan built desks from doors and sawhorses, surprisingly elegant in their simplicity. We need roles, I announced once everyone had claimed their territory. Not titles, roles, Jordan. You're leading engineering. But you're also our CTO to the outside world. CTO of a garage, he muttered. But he was smiling. Maya. Marketing and sales. You're our face until we can afford a real salesperson. So, forever, she quipped. Ethan. Product design and project management. Alex. Infrastructure. Priya. All things UX. I looked at each of them, these brilliant people who'd chosen uncertainty over surrender. And I'll handle operations, funding, and whatever fires need putting out. What about the others? Priya asked. The 4 who didn't want to join. We respect their choice, I said firmly. This isn't for everyone. But when we succeed, and we will, they'll know they were invited to build something extraordinary. Jordan raised his hand, mockingly formal. One small problem, boss. We need about 50 grand worth of equipment to build anything close to competitive. Then we get creative. I pulled out my phone, started a group chat. Everyone, reach out to your networks. We need old servers, unused licenses, any hardware gathering dust. Time to call in every favor. The next week was a blur of begging and borrowing. Maya's ex-boyfriend worked at a data center and got us decommissioned servers for the cost of hauling them away. Jordan's cousin owned a computer repair shop and found some RAM that had been written off. I maxed out 3 credit cards buying essential software licenses, each purchase feeling like another step toward either victory or bankruptcy. Ethan surprised everyone by showing up with a full kitchen setup. Coffee maker, microwave, mini fridge. My wife's idea, he said sheepishly. She said if we're going to live here, might as well eat. We did live there. 18-hour days became normal. Pizza boxes piled up like monuments to exhaustion. The bathroom was a disaster zone. But slowly, line by line, our platform took shape. Look at this, Alex called out one night at 2 a.m., his screen showing response times that made us all stop. We're 40% faster than Brightcore. 40%. Maya was already typing. That's our headline. When seconds cost millions, why wait? I stood in that garage, watching my team, my friends, build something from nothing but determination and spite. Ethan had strung up Christmas lights for ambiance, their warm glow fighting the fluorescent harshness. Jordan had his metal blasting. Priya humming along while she designed. Maya was on her 3rd espresso, pitching to herself in the mirror. We're really doing this, I said to no one in particular. Damn right we are, Jordan replied, not looking up from his code. Gregory's going to shit himself when he sees what we've built. Let's make sure he needs new pants, I said, pulling up our project timeline. 3 months to MVP, 6 months to profitability, 1 year to make them regret everything. The garage erupted in something between a laugh and a war cry. We were no longer discarded employees. We were Pulse Tech, and we were coming for everything they thought was theirs. December hit like a sledgehammer. 2 months in, and we were burning through money faster than Jordan burned through energy drinks. $180,000 sounds like a fortune until you're feeding 8 people, keeping servers running, and watching every dollar evaporate into the necessary machinery of building something from nothing. We have 6 weeks of runway left, I announced during our Monday morning stand-up, which we held at 6 a.m. because that's when the garage was warmest. Maybe 7 if we stop eating. Already on it, Alex joked weakly, his frame noticeably thinner. We all were. The startup diet, stress, and caffeine was carving us down to bone and determination. The prototype was beautiful in that ugly, functional way that engineers love. It worked. It was fast. It was everything we'd promised. But beautiful doesn't pay bills, and working doesn't mean anyone gives a damn. 17th rejection this week, Maya reported, her voice hollow. She'd been cold calling, warm calling, begging calling anyone who'd listen. They all say the same thing. Looks interesting, but we can't risk switching from Brightcore. Show them the performance metrics, Jordan started. I did. They don't care. We're 8 people in a garage. Brightcore has a building with a lobby that costs more than our parents' houses. Ethan hadn't spoken in 3 days. He just coded, designed, refined. His daughter's picture taped to his monitor like a talisman. When Priya tried to talk to him, he just shook his head and pointed to his screen. Work was the only language he had left. Night became. Day became night. The garage's fluorescent lights never turned off, creating a perpetual twilight where time meant nothing. Jordan started sleeping on an air mattress in the corner. Maya set up a makeup station in the bathroom for video calls, trying to look like she wasn't pitching from a converted auto shop. My wife wants to know when this ends, Ethan finally said one night, breaking his silence. It was 3 a.m., and we were debugging a memory leak that was eating our demo alive. I don't know what to tell her. Tell her 6 months, I said. You don't know that. No, I admitted. But I know that we're 3 weeks from launching something that makes Brightcore look like it's running on dial-up. That has to count for something. My daughter asked why Daddy doesn't come home for dinner anymore. His voice cracked. She made me a drawing of our family. And I'm just not in it. The garage went silent except for the hum of servers and the distant sound of traffic on I-25. I'll take the overnight shifts, Jordan said quietly. Go home, Ethan. See your kid. We all will, I added. We'll rotate. Nobody loses their family over this. But we were all losing something. Priya's boyfriend left her. I can't compete with a garage and a dream, he'd said. Alex's husband staged an intervention, convinced we'd joined a cult. Maybe we had the Church of Eventual Revenge, worshipping at the altar of code and possibility. Day 72. Maya slammed her laptop shut. I quit. Nobody moved. We'd been expecting this, watching her fray at the edges, her usual polish corroding under constant rejection. I can't do it anymore, she continued, tears cutting through her foundation. I'm selling something that doesn't exist to people who don't care. And I'm doing it from a garage that smells like motor oil and broken dreams. It exists, Jordan said, spinning his monitor toward her. Look. The dashboard gleamed, real-time analytics flowing like water. Response times that made Brightcore look prehistoric. It was beautiful in the way that functional things are beautiful. No waste, no excess, just pure capability. Maya stared at it, then laughed. A broken sound. It doesn't matter if nobody buys it. David Martinez will. We all turned to look at her. You said he texted you. I pressed. About alternatives. 2 months ago, before his contract renewed, he's locked in for another year. Unless Brightcore breaches contract terms. Alex said slowly. Response time guarantees. Uptime requirements. I helped write those contracts. They're brutal. A spark flickered in the garage. Not hope exactly, but something adjacent to it. Their new team is struggling, Jordan added, pulling up monitoring tools we definitely shouldn't have still had access to. Look at these latency spikes. They're failing SLAs left and right. We need inside information, Maya said, her marketing brain reconnecting. Someone still at Brightcore who? Sarah Chen, Priya interrupted. Design team. They kept her but moved her to back end. She's miserable. Can't involve her, I said firmly. We're not putting anyone's job at risk. But public information. Maya was already typing. Earnings calls, client complaints on social media, Glassdoor reviews. She looked up, that familiar hunter's gleam in her eyes. We don't need inside information. They're bleeding in public. The pivot was instant. Instead of selling to new clients, we positioned ourselves as the life raft for Brightcore's dissatisfied customers. Maya crafted messages that were surgical in their precision. Experiencing latency issues with your current provider? We guarantee 200 millimeters response times. Day 85, first bite. A mid-sized client, frustrated with Brightcore's recent instability, agreed to a demo. Day 89, they signed a pilot program, $50,000 for 3 months. Day 94, word spread, 3 more demos scheduled. Day 96, Jordan collapsed, exhaustion, dehydration, too much caffeine, not enough food. We called an ambulance from the garage, watching them load him onto a stretcher while code still compiled on his screen. Don't you dare stop, he said as they wheeled him out. Not when we're this close. Ethan drove to the hospital while the rest of us kept working. There was nothing else to do. We were too deep in the hole to stop digging. Day 100. Jordan came back, IV bruise still purple on his arm, and found us gathered around Maya's laptop. What did I miss? Maya turned the screen toward him. An email from David Martinez. Subject line, interesting timing. Brightcore had just failed their 3rd consecutive SLA. Martinez's $12 million contract had an escape clause. He wanted to meet. The Colorado Convention Center loomed like a glass mountain, hosting Tech Connect 2024, the premier enterprise software conference where deals were made and companies were buried. We'd scraped together $5,000 we didn't have for a booth in the startup section, what they called Founders Alley, but what was really the conference's garage sale corner. They're here, Maya hissed, nodding toward the main entrance. Brightcore had arrived in force. Their booth, a 2-story monstrosity of LED screens and designer furniture, sat directly in the center path. Impossible to miss. Gregory led the parade, his new team trailing behind in matching polos like a corporate boy band. Don't look, I commanded, but it was too late. Gregory had spotted us. The walkover felt like slow motion. His Italian shoes clicked against the convention center floor, each step calculated. His smile was the kind you'd see on a shark that's learned to walk on land. Samantha, he said, extending his hand like we were old friends. Heard you started a little project. I took his hand, matching his grip pound for pound. Pulse Tech, though I'm sure you've heard more than that. Adorable logo, he said, glancing at our hand-painted banner that Maya had made at 2 a.m. Very authentic. Startup aesthetic is so trendy right now. Like firing entire teams to juice quarterly numbers. The words escaped before I could stop them. His smile tightened. Business is about evolution. The weak get selected out. Natural order of things. Funny thing about evolution, Jordan interrupted, appearing at my shoulder. Sometimes the asteroid is smaller and faster than the dinosaur expects. Gregory's eyes flicked to Jordan, taking in his rumpled clothes, the IV bruise still visible on his arm. You should take care of yourself, Hale. This industry can be demanding for those who can't keep up. I'll keep that in mind when we're signing your former clients. Jordan replied. A crowd was forming, that subtle conference gathering when blood is in the water. startup founders smelling drama, potential customers watching the dynamics. Gregory leaned in, lowering his voice. You're playing a dangerous game. We have resources you can't imagine. Legal teams that eat companies like yours for breakfast. Patent portfolios that could bury you in litigation for years. You mean the patents I helped file? I asked, loud enough for the crowd to hear. The ones with my name on them as co-inventor. Those patents. His face flushed. Enjoy your little booth. Try not to embarrass yourselves too badly. He walked away, his team scrambling to follow. The crowd dispersed, but the damage was done. Everyone had seen the confrontation. We were officially on Brightcore's radar. That was stupid, Ethan muttered. We just painted a target on our backs. No, Maya corrected, her marketing instincts firing. We just got the entire conference talking about us. Watch. She was right. Within an hour, people were stopping by our booth just to see the team that had faced down Brightcore. The narrative was irresistible, David versus Goliath, played out in real time on the conference floor. You're the rebels, a CTO from a Fortune 500 said, accepting our demo request. Everyone loves an underdog. But Brightcore wasn't playing fair. By day 2, rumors were spreading. Pulse Tech was unstable. Funded by questionable sources. Our code was stolen from Brightcore's repositories. One potential client canceled a meeting because they'd heard concerning things. They're poisoning the well, Alex said, showing us a Reddit thread full of anonymous accounts spreading doubt about our legitimacy. Then we poison theirs right back, Maya suggested. No. I slammed my hand on our rickety booth table. We win clean, or we don't win at all. We're better than them, remember? Being better doesn't pay bills, Priya said quietly. We have 3 weeks of money left. That's when I saw him, David Martinez, walking the floor with his enterprise team, stopping at every major booth except ours. Deliberate. Calculated. He's making us chase, Maya realized. Seeing how desperate we are. Then we don't chase, I decided. Jordan, Alex, fire up the live demo. Make it visible from the aisle. We ran our platform on the biggest screen we could afford, showing real-time performance metrics, response times that made people stop and stare. No sales pitch, no desperate grabs for attention. Just beautiful, undeniable functionality. Martinez appeared an hour later, as I knew he would. Ms. Rourke, he said, his voice giving nothing away. Interesting metrics. Real ones, I replied. Unlike the SLA numbers you've been getting lately. He smiled, the first crack in his poker face. I heard there was some drama with your former employer. Drama is their specialty, ours is performance. Show me. The demo was flawless. Jordan had killed himself making sure of it. Every query lightning fast, every dashboard responsive, every feature designed for the exact pain points we knew Martinez faced. His team started taking notes halfway through. His lead architect actually whistled at our API response times. Your infrastructure, Martinez asked. Fraction of Brightcore's overhead, Alex answered. Cloud native, horizontally scalable, built for the next decade, not the last one. Support team? You're looking at it, I said. When you call, you get the people who built it, not a call center reading scripts. Martinez studied our ragtag team, exhausted, underfed, running on determination and spite. You know they'll try to destroy you. They already did, I replied. We're what grew back stronger. He pulled out his phone, showed me an email from Gregory, dated that morning. They offered me a 40% discount to stay, said you'd be bankrupt in a month. My stomach dropped, but I kept my face neutral. And? I don't like bullies, Martinez said. And I really don't like being threatened. They implied things would get complicated if I considered alternatives. They threatened you? Not in writing. Gregory's too smart for that. But the message was clear. He looked at our booth, our hand-painted sign, our servers held together with hope and electrical tape. Can you handle a $12 million implementation? Yes. I lied with absolute conviction. Can you survive when they come after you legally? We'll find out. Martinez laughed, a sharp bark of amusement. You're either brilliant or suicidal. Both, Jordan offered. Definitely both. I need a week to review with my board, Martinez said. But Ms. Rourke, if you can deliver what you've shown here, if you can truly guarantee these performance metrics, we can. Then Brightcore is about to learn what happens when you create your own competition. He shook my hand, firm and decisive. Don't disappoint me. As he walked away, his team following, I saw Gregory watching from the Brightcore booth. His face had gone pale, his phone already at his ear. They know, Maya said quietly. They know Martinez is considering us. Good, I replied, feeling something predatory wake up in my chest. Let them panic. Let them feel what we felt in that conference room when they destroyed our lives with a PowerPoint slide. The war was no longer cold. Brightcore had just realized we weren't a nuisance, we were a threat. And threats in this industry either got bought, buried, or became the new kings. We were betting everything on option 3. Martinez's call came at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday, 5 months and 3 days after Brightcore had thrown us away. Board approved, we're switching to Pulse Tech. $10 million over 2 years, with performance bonuses that could push it to 12. Contracts being sent now. I couldn't speak. Maya was shaking. Jordan actually fell off his chair. Ethan just stared at his phone like it might explode. Ms. Rourke? Martinez's voice pulled me back. You still there? Yes. Yes. We're here. We won't let you down. You better not. Brightcore's already threatening legal action. You ready for that? We were born ready. The contract arrived 30 minutes later. Maya printed it on our barely functional printer, and we signed it on the same table where we'd eaten countless desperate meals. $10 million. Not just survival, victory. We need lawyers, Alex said, ever practical. Real ones, not my cousin who did his DUI. We need everything, I corrected. Office space, actual employees, infrastructure. We need champagne, Jordan interrupted, pulling a bottle from behind the servers. Been saving this for either celebration or suicide. Guess we know which one. The cork pop echoed through the garage like a gunshot. We drank from coffee mugs, the champagne mixing with the taste of exhaustion and vindication. 3 hours later, the cease and desist arrived. Brightcore's legal team had moved fast. They were claiming theft of intellectual property, violation of non-compete agreements we'd never signed, tortious interference with their client relationships. 60 pages of legal threats designed to terrorize. They're trying to scare Martinez off, Maya analyzed. Make it too risky to switch. Then we make staying riskier, I decided, pulling out my phone. The call to TechCrunch was calculated. The story was too good to resist. Fired team creates rival company. Immediately steals biggest client. David versus Goliath with a Silicon Valley twist. The reporter could barely contain her excitement. You're sure you want to go public with this? She asked. Brightcore won't hold back. Neither will we. The article went live that afternoon. From fired to funded, how Pulse Tech turned termination into a $10 million victory. It included performance comparisons, Martinez's quote about Brightcore's deteriorating service quality, and a particularly damning screenshot of their system failures. Gregory called my personal cell within an hour. You think you're clever? His polished executive voice had cracked, revealing something raw underneath. I think I'm employed, I replied. Which is more than you let me be 6 months ago. This isn't over. We have resources you can't imagine. I'll bury your little garage startup in litigation until... It's not a garage anymore, I interrupted. We just signed a lease on the 14th floor of the Tabor Center. You know, the building that overlooks your offices? We'll wave. The silence stretched before he spoke again. Quieter. You could have just moved on. You could have just not fired us. The board made that decision. And you delivered it. You chose to be the face of our destruction. Now, you get to be the face of theirs. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Every client you lose, every dollar that disappears from your balance sheet, every time your board questions your leadership, remember that you created us. We exist because of your decision. I'll destroy you, he said. And for the first time, I heard fear underneath the anger. You already tried. Turns out we're harder to kill than you thought. I hung up and found my team standing around me, having heard every word. That was probably stupid, Ethan said, but he was smiling. Definitely stupid, Maya agreed. Also perfect. He's rattled. The war escalated quickly. Brightcore filed 3 lawsuits in different jurisdictions, trying to drain our resources. We countersued for defamation and unfair business practices. They poached one of our potential clients with massive discounts. We released a white paper comparing performance metrics that went viral in tech circles. But the real victory came from an unexpected source. Sam? Priya walked over with her laptop. You need to see this. It was an email from Jennifer Walsh, Brightcore's VP of Engineering, one of the few executives I'd respected. Samantha, what you've built is remarkable. Brightcore is hemorrhaging talent because of how they treated your team. Good people don't want to work for a company that discards loyalty like garbage. If you're hiring, I have 12 senior engineers who'd like to interview. They specifically asked to work for the company that stood up to corporate cruelty. It's a trap, Jordan said immediately. It's not, I said, recognizing something in the tone. She's jumping ship. Within a week, we'd hired 8 former Brightcore employees. Each one brought knowledge, relationships, and a burning desire to prove that talent matters more than corporate politics. The local news picked up the story, then national tech blogs, then Forbes. The headline made me cry. Pulse Tech valued at $50 million after revolutionary platform disrupts enterprise software market. $50 million. In 6 months, we'd gone from terminated employees to a company worth $50 million. The champagne tasted better in our new offices. Real glasses this time, not coffee mugs. The 14th floor spread out beneath us, the city lights mixing with the glow from our monitors. 43 employees now, half of them former Brightcore talent who'd chosen David over Goliath. Look, Maya said, pointing through the window, across the street. Brightcore's building stood like a monument to corporate arrogance, but their lights were on late. Panic meetings, we'd heard. Their stock had dropped 12% since losing Martinis. 3 more major clients were considering switches. We did it, Ethan said quietly. We actually did it. Not yet, I corrected, watching those panic lights flicker. We've wounded them. Now we go for the kill. Jordan raised his glass. To making them regret everything. To proving that talent trumps titles, Maya added. To revenge served at market temperature. Alex laughed. I raised my own glass, looking at the team that had bet everything on spite and capability. To showing them that when you fire people who built your success, they might just build your replacement. The lights at Brightcore burned until dawn. I knew because we were watching, planning, building. The student had become the master, and the master was about to learn what graduation really meant. The call came on a Thursday evening, 6 months and 2 weeks after our termination. I was reviewing our latest client acquisitions when my phone lit up with a blocked number. Samantha, it's Gregory. His voice had lost its polish, worn down to something raw and desperate. I'm listening, I said, gesturing for Maya and Jordan to come closer. We need to meet, tonight, privately. Why would I? Because I'm prepared to offer you something you can't refuse. The restaurant he chose reeked of desperation masked as power, private room, dim lighting. The kind of place where deals went to die or be reborn. Gregory sat alone, his usual entourage absent. He looked older, grayer. Like the past 6 months had aged him in dog years. $100 million, he said before I even sat down. We buy Pulse Tech for $100 million. You and your team get rich, sign non-competes, everyone wins. I laughed, couldn't help it. 6 months ago, we were worth so little you threw us out. Now you want to pay 100 million to make us go away? It's a generous offer. It's an insult. I leaned forward. We're valued at 50 million after 6 months. Give us a year, and we'll be worth 500 million. Your board knows it. That's why you're here. His jaw clenched. The board wants you gone. One way or another. Is that a threat? It's reality. We have congressional connections, patent arsenals, media influence. We can make your life hell for years. Or... He pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. You can be wealthy beyond imagination. I opened it. The number had grown, $150 million, cash and stock options, immediate vesting, golden parachutes for my entire team. The board authorized this? I asked. The board is terrified. You took Martinez. Peterson's contract is up next month. We know he's talking to you. Chen Industries is reviewing alternatives. We're bleeding out, and you're holding the knife. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. You know what the really pathetic part is? I said, closing the folder. You still don't get it. This was never about money. Everything's about money. No, it's about proving that you were wrong. Wrong to fire us. Wrong to think we were replaceable. Wrong to believe that talent doesn't matter. I stood up. We're not for sale. 200 million. I paused at the door. Gregory, we're about to report our first profitable quarter. Our platform is faster, cheaper, and better than yours. Your best engineers are sending us resumes. Your clients are counting down to contract renewals like prisoners marking days. I turned back to face him. Why would I sell you the rope you're hanging yourself with? Because if you don't, I'll destroy everything you've built. I'll make it personal. Your team, their families. Stop! My voice cut through his threat like ice. You already made it personal when you had security escort us out like criminals. When you made Ethan explain to his daughter why Daddy was crying. When Jordan's wife almost left him because we couldn't afford prenatal care. When Maya had to move back with her parents at 35. I walked back, placed both hands on the table, leaned in close enough to see him sweat. You want a war? You've got one. But remember, you trained us. Every dirty trick, every strategic move, every vulnerability in your system exists because we built it. The board won't let me lose. The board can't stop mathematics. Our burn rate is 1/10 of yours. Our customer acquisition cost is a fraction. We're David, but we've got a fucking machine gun now. And your Goliath is bleeding from 1,000 cuts. Name your price. Everyone has one. I thought about it, really considered what would make this worth it. I want your resignation, public admission that firing us was a mistake, and I want Brightcore to donate 50 million to a fund for displaced tech workers. He laughed, bitter and short. That's corporate suicide. Then I guess we do this the hard way. You're making a mistake, Samantha. I came here in good faith. You came here in fear. There's a difference. I headed for the door again. Tell your board they had their chance. Tell them Pulse Tech remembers everything. And Gregory? I paused one last time. That email you sent firing us, I have it framed in my office. Best motivation I've ever had. Outside, Maya and Jordan were waiting in Jordan's beat-up Honda. We still couldn't afford luxuries like nice cars. Every dollar went back into the company. Well, Maya asked. He offered 200 million. Jordan whistled. That's fuck you money. No, I corrected, starting the car. What we're about to do to them, that's fuck you money. Maya pulled out her phone, showing me an email. Peterson just confirmed he's switching to us. 8 million annual contract. Another notification popped up. Then another. 3 more clients requesting demos. 2 senior Brightcore engineers submitting applications. A venture capital firm offering Series A funding at a $200 million valuation. You sure we shouldn't have taken the money? Jordan asked, but he was smiling. Money can't buy what we really want, I said, watching Brightcore's building shrink in the rearview mirror. We want them to watch us rise. We want them to see their clients choose us. We want Gregory to wake up every morning knowing he created his own worst nightmare. That's cold, Maya said admiringly. That's justice, I corrected. With compound interest. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but I recognized the board member's name. If you reconsider, the offer stands. William Chen, Bright Core Board Chairman. I showed it to the team. Jordan took my phone, typed a response. We're just getting started. Too petty? He asked. Perfect, I said, hitting send. The war wasn't over. It might never truly end. But sitting in that beat-up Honda with my team, watching our phones light up with opportunities that Bright Core was losing, I knew we'd already won the only battle that mattered. We'd proved that talent, loyalty, and shared fury could build something faster than corporate machinery could destroy it. And we were just getting started. The Forbes article hit the stands on a Tuesday morning, exactly 6 months and 27 days after our termination. Maya had it framed before noon. Pulse Tech, the $200 million revenge story that's reshaping enterprise software. I stood in our real office now, not the garage, not the cramped 14th floor, but a genuine tech campus in downtown Denver. 90 employees, 32 clients, profitable for 3 consecutive quarters. The irony wasn't lost on me that we'd moved into Brightcore's old building. They'd downsized, couldn't afford the lease anymore. The day we signed the papers, I made sure to stand in the exact conference room where they'd fired us. Conference room C, now it was our primary boardroom. Sam, Jordan called from the doorway. You need to see this. The news was playing on every screen in our office. Brightcore Systems announces major restructuring following 60% revenue loss. And there he was, Gregory, at a press conference, looking like a man reading his own obituary. Effective immediately, I'll be stepping down as CEO to pursue other opportunities. The office erupted, not in celebration, but in something quieter, vindication. Ethan was crying. Maya was smiling so hard it looked painful. Jordan just nodded, like a prophecy had finally come true. My phone rang. William Chen, Brightcore's board chairman. Congratulations, Ms. Rourke. You've won. This wasn't about winning. No, then what was it about? I thought about Ethan's daughter. Who could stay in her school now? About Jordan's baby, born healthy with full medical coverage. About Maya, who'd just bought her first house. About all of us who'd been told we were disposable. Proving we weren't garbage to be thrown away. The board would like to discuss a merger. Our technology, your team. No, you haven't heard the terms. I don't need to. We're not interested in saving the company that tried to destroy us. There was a long pause. They're going to file for bankruptcy without this deal. Then they should have thought about that before they fired the people who built their success. I hung up and walked back to the main floor, where my team, my family, was still processing the news. These brilliant, resilient people who'd bet everything on a shared fury and a garage dream. I need to tell you all something, I announced, and the room quieted. Brightcore just offered us a merger. They want us to save them. The silence was deafening. I said no. The cheer that went up could probably be heard in the Brightcore offices across town. Or what was left of them. Later that evening, I stood in my office, Gregory's old office, actually, another delicious irony, looking out at the Denver skyline. The city lights reminded me of that first night in the garage when we'd worked until dawn on nothing but spite and determination. Maya knocked, entered with 2 glasses of wine. The good stuff now, not the boxed wine we'd survived on. Any regrets? She asked. About not taking their offers? Never. About how hard we went after them? I thought about it. They created us, Maya, every ounce of venom, every strategic strike, every client we took. They authored their own destruction the day they decided we were expendable. Poetic justice. The best kind. My phone buzzed. A LinkedIn notification. Gregory had updated his profile. Seeking new opportunities. I couldn't help but laugh. Help. Then I did something I'd been waiting 6 months to do. I pulled out that termination email, the one I'd printed and carried with me every single day, the one that said our contributions were appreciated but no longer needed. I fed it into the shredder, watching it turn into confetti. "We're not done, are we?" Maya asked, knowing the answer. "Not even close. We've got Peterson's contract to implement, the Series B funding to close, and about 50 more Brightcore clients to convert." I turned from the window, grinning. "We're just getting warmed up." Jordan appeared in the doorway with Ethan, Alex, Priya, and the rest of the original 8. They were carrying champagne and pizza, our traditional celebration meal, even though we could afford much better now. "To the garage," Jordan toasted. "To proving them wrong," Ethan added. "To sweet, profitable revenge." Maya laughed. I raised my glass, looking at each of them. To us. The team they threw away who became their worst nightmare. As we clinked glasses, I caught our reflection in the office window, no longer desperate, no longer broken, no longer disposable. We were Pulse Tech. We were profitable. We were proof that sometimes, just sometimes, the discarded can rise up and devour those who discarded them. The champagne tasted like vindication. The pizza tasted like justice. And the view of Brightcore's dimming lights across the city, that tasted like the sweetest revenge ever served. Ice cold, precisely calculated, and devastating in its completeness. They'd fired us in Conference Room C. We'd buried them from Conference Room C. Poetic? Maybe. Justified? Absolutely. Finished? Never. Because when you build a company on revenge, you don't just win. You make sure they never forget why they lost. And every morning, when Denver's business district wakes up, they see our logo where Brightcore's used to be, a daily reminder that talent, fury, and determination can topple any giant. We didn't just build a rival. We built a monument to everyone who's ever been told they're replaceable. And business has never been better. Thank you so much for listening to this story of corporate revenge and triumph. I'm curious. Where are you listening from? Drop a comment below and let me know what city or country you're tuning in from. I love connecting with listeners around the world. If this story of turning termination into triumph resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you ever dreamed of getting revenge on a former employer? What would you have done in Sam's position? Let's discuss in the comments below.